Have you ever had a dream so big that everyone around you thought it was impossible? This is the story of Amanda, a young girl who refused to let poverty decide her future. Amanda lived in a small village where life was never easy. Every morning she woke up before sunrise to help her mother with chores. Their tiny house had a leaking roof, and there were days when the family struggled to put enough food on the table. While other children her age spent their evenings playing outside, Amanda often helped her mother fetch water from a distant well. The journey was long, and the heavy buckets left her arms aching. Yet, despite all these challenges, Amanda carried something powerful inside her. A dream. A dream that seemed impossible to everyone else. You see, Amanda wanted to become a doctor. The dream began when she was only 10 years old. One afternoon, a sick elderly woman in the village became seriously ill. The nearest hospital was many miles away, and help arrived too late. Amanda watched as the villagers stood helplessly around the woman's home. That day, something changed inside her. She realized how many people suffered simply because they could not get medical help when they needed it most. As she walked home that evening, she made a promise to herself. One day, I will become a doctor and help people like her. It was a beautiful dream, but not everyone believed in it. When Amanda shared her dream with some of the villagers, many laughed. "A doctor?" one man said. "Do you know how much education that requires?" Another shook her head. "Children from families like yours don't become doctors." Others told her to stop dreaming and focus on finding a simple job when she grew older. At first, their words hurt. Every time someone doubted her, Amanda felt a small pain in her heart, but she refused to give up. Instead, she studied harder than ever. At school, she paid close attention to every lesson. She asked questions. She read every book she could find. And while many of her classmates rushed home after school, Amanda often stayed behind, eager to learn more. Her teachers soon noticed something special about her. Amanda wasn't the smartest student in the class. She wasn't the wealthiest, but she was the most determined. No matter how difficult a lesson seemed, she never stopped trying. No matter how many mistakes she made, she kept learning. Deep down, Amanda believed that her future could be different. She believed that her circumstances did not have to define her destiny. Little did she know, much greater challenges were waiting ahead. Challenges that would test her courage, her faith, and her determination like never before. And for a moment, it would seem as though her dream was about to slip away forever. But Amanda was not the kind of girl who quit, and her journey was only beginning. Amanda's determination was growing stronger every day, but dreams often face their greatest challenges before they become reality. As Amanda moved into higher classes, the cost of education began to increase. School fees became more expensive, books were harder to afford, even basic supplies like notebooks and pens sometimes felt like luxuries. At home, the situation was getting worse. Her parents worked tirelessly, yet the money they earned was barely enough to feed the family. Many nights, Amanda overheard worried conversations between her mother and father. They spoke in quiet voices, hoping the children would not hear. But Amanda heard every word. She heard the fear in their voices. She heard the stress they carried every day. And she knew that paying for her education was becoming a burden they could hardly afford. One evening, Amanda sat alone in her room, staring at her school books. For the first time, doubt crept into her mind. What if they're right? She wondered. What if becoming a doctor is impossible? The thought frightened her, but something inside refused to surrender. Instead of giving up, Amanda made a decision. If she couldn't change her family's financial situation overnight, she could control one thing: how hard she worked. Every evening after finishing her chores, Amanda opened her books and studied. When electricity failed, she used a small candle. The flickering flame barely lit the pages. Sometimes smoke filled the room. Sometimes her eyes became tired and heavy. But she kept reading. She kept learning. She kept believing. While many people slept peacefully through the night, Amanda often remained awake, reviewing lessons and solving problems. There were moments when exhaustion nearly defeated her. moments when she wanted to close her books and quit. But whenever she felt weak, she remembered the promise she had made years ago. The promise to help people. The promise to become a doctor. At school, some of her classmates began dropping out. A few left to work and support their families. Others simply gave up on their education. Each time Amanda saw another empty desk, she felt a mixture of sadness and fear. Would she be next? The pressure continued to grow. Then came another challenge. Some relatives began discouraging her. They told her she was wasting her time. They said she should focus on finding a simple job instead of chasing impossible dreams. Their words hurt more than she wanted to admit. After all, these were people she respected, people she expected to support her, but instead of encouragement, they offered doubt. Still, Amanda refused to let their opinions define her future. She learned an important lesson. Sometimes the people who doubt you the most are not strangers. Sometimes they are the people closest to you. And sometimes success requires believing in yourself when nobody else does. As the months passed, Amanda continued fighting for her dream. But a storm was approaching, a challenge far greater than anything she had faced before, one that would force her to make the hardest decision of her life. And when it arrived, it would seem as though her dream of becoming a doctor was finally over. Amanda had fought through poverty. She had ignored the doubts of others. She had spent countless nights studying by candlelight. But life was about to test her in a way she never expected. One afternoon, her father returned home earlier than usual. The moment Amanda saw his face, she knew something was wrong. He looked tired, defeated, the kind of defeat that comes when someone has received terrible news. The family gathered around him in silence. Then he spoke the words nobody wanted to hear. He had lost his job. For a few seconds, the room was completely quiet. Amanda looked at her mother. Her mother looked at the floor. No one knew what to say. Her father's income had been the family's main source of support. Without it, even buying food would become difficult. That night, Amanda barely slept. Questions raced through her mind. How would they survive? How would they pay rent? How would they afford school fees? The next few weeks were some of the hardest the family had ever faced. Every coin mattered. Every meal had to be carefully planned. The stress in the house grew heavier each day. Amanda watched her parents struggle to stay strong. They tried to hide their worries from the children, but she could see the pain in their eyes. Then came the news she had been dreading. There was no money for her next school payment. Amanda would have to leave school, at least for now. The words hit her like a storm. Everything she had worked for suddenly felt out of reach. Her dream of becoming a doctor seemed to be slipping away. For the first time in years, Amanda felt completely powerless. She packed away her books. She watched her classmates continue their education while she stayed behind. Every morning was painful. Instead of walking to school, she remained at home helping with chores and finding ways to support her family. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. Slowly, the dream that had once burned so brightly began to fade. Amanda started wondering if this was the end. Maybe the villagers had been right all along. Maybe people from poor families weren't meant to achieve big dreams. Maybe she should stop fighting. Maybe she should accept reality. One evening, as she sat alone outside her home, tears filled her eyes. She felt exhausted, broken. For the first time, giving up seemed easier than continuing. But just when Amanda felt she had reached her lowest point, something unexpected happened. A familiar voice called her name. It was her former teacher. The teacher had noticed Amanda's absence from school and had come looking for answers. After hearing everything that had happened, the teacher sat quietly for a moment. Then she smiled. "Amanda," she said gently, "your situation may have changed, but your potential hasn't." Amanda looked up. Those words struck her heart. For the first time in months, she felt a small spark of hope. The teacher told her something she would never forget. Sometimes life delays your journey, but that doesn't mean your journey is over. Amanda listened carefully. The dream she thought was dying suddenly felt alive again. She didn't know it yet, but this conversation was about to change everything because her teacher had an idea, an opportunity that could give Amanda one final chance to fight for her future. And that opportunity would lead to the biggest turning point of her life. Amanda could hardly believe the words her teacher had spoken. For months, she had felt trapped. For months, she had watched her dreams slowly slip away. But now, for the first time in a long while, she felt hope. Her teacher explained that there were scholarship programs designed to help hardworking students continue their education. The process would not be easy. There would be forms to complete, exams to pass, interviews to attend, and hundreds of other students competing for the same opportunity. But Amanda didn't hesitate. This was the chance she had been praying for, and she was determined to give it everything she had. The next few months became some of the busiest of her life. Every day she studied harder than ever before. She borrowed books whenever she could. She reviewed old notes. She practiced questions late into the night. Even when she felt tired, she refused to stop. She knew this opportunity could change her future forever. Many times fear tried to creep back into her mind. What if she failed? What if she wasn't good enough? What if all her efforts were wasted? But whenever those thoughts appeared, Amanda reminded herself how far she had already come. She had survived challenges that many people would never understand. She had fought through poverty. She had overcome doubt. She had refused to quit when everything seemed impossible. And now she was stronger than ever. Finally, the day of the scholarship examination arrived. Amanda walked into the examination hall with a nervous heart. She looked around and saw many talented students. For a moment, she felt intimidated, but then she took a deep breath. She remembered her dream. She remembered her promise. And she gave the exam everything she had. When the examination ended, all she could do was wait. Days passed, then weeks. Every morning, Amanda wondered if the results had been released. Every evening, she prayed for good news. The waiting felt endless. Then, one afternoon, everything changed. A letter arrived. Amanda's hands trembled as she opened it. Her family gathered around her. The room was silent. Slowly, she began to read. Then her eyes widened. Tears filled her face. For a moment, she couldn't speak. She had done it. Amanda had won the scholarship. The dream that once seemed impossible was alive again. Her family celebrated with joy. Her mother cried tears of happiness. Her father smiled proudly. And Amanda felt something she had not felt in a very long time. Relief, hope, belief. With the scholarship supporting her education, Amanda returned to school. She worked harder than ever before. Years passed. The young girl who once studied by candlelight continued moving forward, step by step, challenge by challenge, never giving up. Then, at long last, the day arrived. Amanda graduated from medical school. She had become a doctor. The very dream that people laughed at years ago had become reality. But Amanda never forgot where she came from. She never forgot the village. She never forgot the struggles. And she never forgot the people who needed help. After becoming a doctor, she returned to serve communities like the one that raised her. The same villages where people once lacked access to medical care. The same places where children were told their dreams were impossible. Now, Amanda stood as proof that dreams can come true. Not because life is easy, not because success comes quickly, but because determination is stronger than difficulty, and because giving up is never the only option. So, if you're facing challenges today, if people are telling you that your dream is impossible, if life has knocked you down more times than you can count, remember Amanda's story. Your circumstances do not define your future. Your setbacks do not determine your destiny. Keep going. Keep believing. Keep fighting for your dream. Because sometimes the people who change the world are simply the ones who refuse to give up.